Sick and tired of your love-hate relationship with wine?
Welcome to the Feel It Alcohol Free podcast. Hi, I'm Coach Ruby Williams.
And I'm Coach Susan Larkin.
We're two former wine lovers turned alcohol freedom coaches exposing the lies about alcohol
and giving you, our listeners, the tools to break free so you can feel lit.
And when you're lit, you'll feel healthier, freer, and more in control of your life.
So relax, kick back, and get ready to feel lit alcohol-free.
And don't forget, grab a copy of our wine-free weekend guide after the show.
Hey, we are so excited to be here again for another wonderful episode of the Feel Lit podcast.
Welcome.
Yay. Oh, so fun to be here with you, Ruby. I love doing this with you. And today we have a really great question that we hear a lot in our coaching practices. And so I'm just going to jump into the question, which is, I had a month alcohol free and was feeling so much better, but then I drank. Can you help me figure out how to deal with strong urges to drink? I can't seem to fight it, and I end up drinking wine. Such a good question and so common. Yes. Mm-hmm. So it's really important to learn how to deal with urges to drink, because just because you have an urge to drink, number one, there's nothing wrong with you. That doesn't mean that you're bad or there's anything wrong. Of course, you're going to have an urge to drink. You've been drinking for a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
So we just need to figure out some tools. And that's what we're here to share in today's episode is what are our best tools for handling a craving. So Ruby, I'm going to throw it to you to find out your best tool. I'm taking notes, girl.
Okay. We're going to take notes and learn from each other too. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to start with the tried and true. I think the one that is so important is the acronym HALT, HALT. And it stands for the H is hungry or thirsty. A is the angry. L is lonely. And T is tired. And when you're drinking, you're just not listening to your body's signals. And this is a way that you stop. And when you have a craving and you get super aware and curious. So we talk about awareness and curiosity like over and over. We're going to talk about it all the time because it's about and I put my hands like here, or you can't see me, but putting my hands on my body. You can put it anywhere, but it's a way to get into how are you really feeling? What do you really need right now? What is your body telling you? And then address that first. Am I really hungry? Please just eat something nutritious and see what happens, right? Am I really thirsty? Drink something. Am I angry? Okay. How you can process anger is literally some people angry vacuum or go for a run or walk, or you can punch a pillow. If I was angry in the car, I would, pound my fists on my steering wheel, be angry. It's okay to let out that emotion. Lonely is so common. It's just, what can do you need to reach out to a friend? Maybe you text a friend, really listen to that. Maybe there's a community you can reach out to. We have our Feel It alcohol-free community. I'll just say that, but no. And then tired. It's so common. You know what? You can be feeling tiredness and fatigue after stopping drinking for like 6 months to 2 years. It can just hit you. So we want you to listen to your real body signals and not just go, oh, alcohol is going to solve all of these problems, right? You want to start really listening within because you have the answers within, and you just need to practice this. It's like a practice. You're out of practice, right? Yeah. What do you think, Susan?
Absolutely. In fact, once you start to get this awareness, when I work with clients, if they are having urges to drink always at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock, then maybe you kind of preempt it. So maybe you have snack at 3:30, or you have a snack at 4, you plan a snack for that time when you know you're going to have that urge to drink, because a protein snack like nuts or a cheese stick or something like that can really help bring that urge down. Sometimes we think it's an urge to drink and it's like low blood sugar actually.
Right.
So for hungry, I definitely am thirsty. Angry, I had a lot of issues with anger because I didn't feel like it was okay to feel angry. And so I was sort of just like trying to stuff that away. And so I love this expressing it and feeling it, allowing yourself to feel it. And it's okay. Our body was made to feel all of our emotions. And of course, tired. Yeah. I mean, I remember reading something that was like, sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is take a nap. It's like, yes, right? How are you
Yeah.
able to really function when we're tired? And then for lonely, because I know a lot of us can feel something that we think feels like loneliness, but it's really what I would
Mhm.
there's another L word that you could also use if you're like, look, I'm not lonely, I'm surrounded by people, and I don't feel like, because if you're lonely, then what you would do is want to be with people or like call someone or something. And sometimes people are
Right.
like, I don't feel like calling anyone, I don't know. So maybe it's not lonely, maybe it's a longing. So
Mm.
sometimes we just have these longings in our heart, and we don't know what it is, but it feels like something that doesn't feel good. We want to use wine or alcohol to get rid of that feeling, because we're always using this tool, alcohol, to change the way we feel. And sometimes digging into what is that longing, and is so longing maybe just a different word to kind of plug in there and see, okay, what are my heart's desires? What are these longings that are unfulfilled? Because a lot of times
Mhm.
in our drinking life, we are ignoring those longings, and we're just spending so much time drinking, thinking about drinking, and recovering from drinking, that we don't even have the time to explore our heart's desires. And
Like
so that's
not getting your needs met is what comes to mind. Yeah, what are your
yeah,
needs? Yeah.
beyond just physical, but our
Mhm.
spiritual, or our um yeah, or the desires that we have of what's our purpose. You know what I mean? I didn't think, my husband would say, do you have, what are your dreams? I'm like, I don't have any dreams. My dreams sit here and drink
Yeah.
wine and watch Netflix and go
Alcohol
away.
steals our dreams. It steals our dreams.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we hear that so much. It keeps us living small, it keeps us from trying new things. It's just, yeah. So that living small. So if you're starting to feel like a
Yes,
longing for
smaller, smaller.
something,
Mhm.
yeah, bigger, exploring that, and just sort of like allowing the longing, and asking it, like, okay, what are you trying to tell me here?
That's a
Can
great
be,
question.
it's a little uncomfortable, but but that's the way to go with it for sure. It's not to drown it with
Yeah.
Sauvignon Blanc.
Yeah, the only way through
For
an
sure.
urge is to actually go through it and not just numb it.
Yes.
So what's your next really
Yes.
good tactic for surf
So
or
mine
yeah.
would be just that. You have to go through it. So
Yeah.
how are you just going to feel the urge and not act on it? And so I created this process that I call stop, drop, and roll. And I feel like it's an easy thing to remember, because that's what we do when we're on fire, right?
Yes.
We taught that
Ooh.
as a kid. Okay, stop, drop, and roll. So that's how you can remember it. Because I used to feel like when I had an urge to drink, it was like it lit a little fire in my brain. Like I was on fire. And the only way to put the fire out was with wine, drinking lots of wine to put that fire out. And so when I'm feeling that, if I'm feeling that urge, that fiery urge, so the first thing you do is stop and recognize I'm having an urge to drink, and just allow it and be okay with it. Also, having an urge to drink is not the problem.
Mhm.
The problem is when when you engage in the behavior of drinking. And that's not even a problem either. It's just, that's just a behavior. So, but having an urge does not mean there's anything wrong with you. Does not mean, oh my gosh, I'm not succeeding in this alcohol-free curiosity, sober curious movement. It's because you have cues in your life, and something is triggered, or something is triggered in you emotionally. You don't, and your desire is to change the way you feel. So there's nothing wrong with you if having an urge to drink. It's just a thought. And then, so it's drop. We drop into our body. The way to go
Mm.
through an urge is to actually drop in and feel it. So first stop, recognize it, allow, then drop into your body and describe to yourself what actually you're feeling in your body, not in your mind. not all the thoughts that are going, blah, 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 the chattering monkeys. No, going into your body. I feel my heart is pounding. I feel a little sweaty. I feel itchy. I feel like I'm crawling out of my skin. I feel tense in my shoulders. I
Mm-hmm.
feel my stomach has got butterflies. Like, what do you feel actually somatically, like body feelings? And then we just roll with that. We just roll with going through our body and describing those feelings and just keep rolling through it until the urge starts to dissipate and subside. And a little extra trick for this is sometimes it could feel like the urges take lasting forever, right? And so just to practice this, and no myth of perfection. So, you start practicing this. Maybe you set a timer and go, okay, I know I can be uncomfortable for 5 minutes. So I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes and I'm going to stop, drop, and roll for 5 minutes. And when you set the timer, that really helps your mind know, okay, it's a set period of time. In your mind, you can be uncomfortable for 5 minutes, right? And so I liken this to the Ferber method. There's a Ferber method to helping your child fall asleep. And so it's like you're Ferberizing your brain around being able to, because when your child is crying, it's really hard to not go to them, right? But if you set a
Right.
timer and you go, okay, I know my child is not going to die if they cry for 10 minutes. So you set the timer and then you can kind of put it out of your mind. I mean, you can hear the child cry, but you can also be like, okay, I know they're not going to die. And in 10 minutes, if they're still crying, I'll go into them. So you can do the same thing with your brain and with the urge to drink. You can set a timer knowing, okay, I can do hard things for 5 minutes. I can be uncomfortable for 10 minutes or 15, and you can increase the time, which is exactly what you do with the Ferber method for sleep. And just practice the stop, drop, and roll during that time that you've set during
I
your
love
timer.
this. I love this. I took
Yeah.
down notes, Susan. This is so cool. No, it's very and the brain on fire goes with like our the name of this podcast, like feel like lit.
Feel
Like we
lit.
have so many fire and ignite references. It's very
I
cool.
know.
I would say I love that you start with 5 minutes, but if you actually were to like the science behind this is most urges last between 15 and 20 minutes. Like if you were actually so it's really a short period of time. Like it's
Yeah.
like, and then you could start with 5 minutes or you could go all the way to what can I do, and stop, drop and roll for 15 minutes or 20 minutes. But it's like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
you
like
could
like
combine them.
yeah, it's like a surf, we'd say surf the urge because it is. It's like a wave that comes and then it dissipates. So you can
Yeah.
picture like a wave too. I just wanted to like share a story around what it's like, kind of a before and after. Like before I knew about any of these kind of urge tactics and tools, and I was just literally oblivious. I was
Yeah.
just willy nilly at the whim of whatever popped into my head. Like if something popped into my head that said it was always drink. Like I wasn't even aware of it. Maybe I was hungry. Maybe I was lonely. Maybe I longed for something. All I know is I would just, something would pop into my head or a feeling I'd feel. And the next thing I'd know, I had a drink in my hand. And it's just about that gap. You want to like have, like you said, that stop, that
Pause.
gap, that pause. You can lengthen it. You can lengthen that pause and start to get curious. And now it's like I just noticed the thought and I don't let the feeling take over. And it's such a different way to move through a craving. And just like Susan said, you you can move through it. You can keep rolling through it. I love that. I just picture like waves of rolling. You just roll through it and allow for it. And instead of just like, I'm not going to feel any feelings, I'm going to drink. I'm going to numb.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if we're like human feelings instead of human beings? We're just here on this
Mm.
planet to feel all the feelings. Every feeling is just a feeling, and we get to feel feelings. Yeah.
Yeah. I love
Another
that.
one that would pop into my head is boredom.
Mm.
So like probably that was one of my big like pop boredom. I'm bored. Next thing I have a drink in my hand, like within minutes. It was so immediate. Yeah, I don't know, but so I created. So you created a stop, drop, and roll. I created these. I call them my 4 bucket lists. And if you're a person that, boredom pops into your head and then you want to drink, take some time, get out a piece of paper or in your journal and start with 4 headings. They're self-care, movement, connection,
Mm,
and then like projects and hobbies. And then brainstorm as many things as you can think to put under there. Oh my gosh, things you've never tried, things that because you drank, you forgot you love to do, or things that you've left off. So if we talk about self care is not just going to the spa or getting a pedicure. Self care is just loving yourself or taking care of yourself, being kind to yourself. And that can be a nap.
mhm.
It can be, there's so many things. Maybe we'll share in our Facebook group some more ideas. Or if
Yeah,
you,
let's do that.
yeah, let's do that one this episode. And then also our guide, our wine free weekend guide has 100 ideas on what to do besides drinking. So that's just one reason why you might want to get the guide too. So I was talking about self-care first. So important.
Mhm.
Next is movement. Move your body. I'm not saying the word exercise, if you noticed. For me, exercise is kind of this like negative word. I don't know why, but it feels like I have to do exercise. But move. How do you want to move your body? Maybe it's just
Mhm.
stretching or walking or something very gentle. But it can be also running and something very where you sweat and, really feel good. And then connection. I think connection is so important because did you know the opposite of addiction is connection? So finding a community or calling a friend, or you put a long list there, like meeting a friend for
Mhm.
dinner or maybe joining a church group or another spiritual group. That could be great. Again, brainstorm, tons of ideas. Maybe try to get 20 of each under each of these buckets. And then projects and hobbies. Like when we're drinking, you might have, like, I forgot I used to love to do certain things. I just completely forgot. And I also put on there things I always wanted to try. And then projects,
Mm.
maybe when you're drinking, you're laying on the couch like I was. And so there's that closet you always wanted to clean out, or or some sort of project. I don't know. It can be really, really fun to do this. And then the next time your brain says, I'm bored, you just run to your list and pick something. Decide if it's movement or self care or, maybe it's a hobby. So that's my favorite tactic around boredom.
I love
Yeah.
that. I love it. I
Thanks.
totally took notes and I think, yeah, my issue with boredom was that it also was a negative feeling to feel. Like I was taught that being bored, as a kid is like, if you're bored, I'll give you something to do. Remember? I don't know if your mom
I
ever said
remember
that to
that.
you. And you're like, no, no, we're not bored. Bye. Or also my French teacher, and this is like stuck with me. This is like the power of teachers, right? She was actually French, and she was like, oh, you American children, you always say you're bored. Well, in French, saying you're bored is je m'ennuie, which means I bore myself. And so it was always like, oh, yeah, exactly. If you're bored, that means you're boring. You bore
Right.
yourself. And so if I would feel bored, it was also, again, a negative feeling that I felt like I didn't want to be bored. And so I wanted to drink just to get rid of that feeling because it was bad. Right. So there's nothing wrong with feeling bored. And I remember having some experiences because my alcohol free journey started in June 2020 during COVID. So talk about
Ah,
being bored. Like I had to still work. I know a lot of people didn't work, but I was still working. But on the weekends and stuff, we didn't go anywhere, do anything. And so I was just had this time just to wander. I remember going out in the yard and just sort of wandering around. And then I just wandered. And then one minute I was like, oh, look, there's these flagstone stones under my deck. That's weird. And I dug them out. And then pretty soon I'm like, hey, I'm going to put these as like a little path around my garden. And I just started doing that. And I didn't go out to the yard with the intention of doing that project, but just in my boredom, so to speak, quote unquote, I just found something to do that made me feel good and was like, oh, good, look, I accomplished this, or I just start weeding, I'd start going, oh, there's a weed, there's a weed. Oh, I think I'm going to move this plant over here. Or I just sort of just wandered around. And it was so yeah, boredom can actually be a form of a kind of a what do I say, like soil for new beginnings or something new, like you said, with your projects or
Yeah,
hobbies,
I
just to
agree.
allow yourself the space to kind of allow for something new, right? So I
Mhm.
don't know. That's my 2 cents for
I
whatever it's
love
worth.
that. I was just picturing you walking around your garden, and I love that kind of
Yeah.
that time where you're not, it's not structured time. When you don't have that
Yeah.
structured time and you can allow yourself to be bored in a sense, but not and be bored in the drink, but be bored and just get curious. What
Be.
be? Yeah, walk around, look at the plants and the sunset, and that you just be. I love that. Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just want to get back to kind of what we said at the beginning again, that having the urge to drink is not a problem, but it's the way we think about having the urge, right? If we have an urge and we're like, oh my gosh, I have an urge to drink. I suck. There's something wrong with me. Oh my gosh. You know what I mean? Like that just is the judgment from, so that's like the second arrow they talk about in Buddhism. Like we have a thought and then we judge that thought, which is the second arrow, which makes us feel even worse, right? So it's just a thought, and it's one way to think about it. In a different way, like a turnaround for that thought can be, oh, good. I mean, in a way, goody. I have an urge to drink because it's a clue. Okay, this is a clue. It's giving me data of areas in my life where I've given alcohol a job and where I need to figure something else out. So that's a totally different mindset than, oh my gosh, I have an urge to drink, or good, this is an opportunity to practice surfing an urge.
Mhm.
Um, I always wanted to do that. You know what I mean? I always wanted to practice surfing, or just the mindset of this is not a problem. That the thought is not a problem. It's actually data. So it's something I can investigate. So now I'm going to put my investigator hat on and go, okay, what's going on in my life right now? What is the feeling I have? What is the thought that I had that is creating this urge, or what is the cue in my environment, like, oh, I drove by the liquor store, or it's Friday night and I just walked in the garage, I just walked in from the garage door. Like if you've had a certain routine in your life, that's a cue, and your brain just goes doot, 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 doot. Oh, it's Friday night, I'm walking in from a long day's work, boom, urge to drink. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It just means that something in your environment or in your feelings are causing your subconscious to go, this is when we drink, right?
Right. That little
So,
voice. Yeah.
yeah,
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 that makes so much sense. And you started on, that thoughts, cravings are just thoughts. And I want to just expand on that a little bit more because it's such an important concept. And thoughts and thoughts are just thoughts. And of course we're going to have thoughts. I mean we mentioned this on a previous episode, but thoughts there you have like 70,000 thoughts in a day, and you're going to have these thoughts, and especially if you've been drinking for years and years and years or decades like I was, like you're going to still have these thoughts. They're going to
yeah,
pop up, and you can put a lot of energy and charge into them, or you can just see it as like with awareness and curiosity, like it's just a thought, doesn't mean I have to act on it, and
exactly.
let it go, let it be there, like, oh, of course I had that thought because like you said, it's 5 p.m. and I used to always drink, or I just drove by the liquor store. I love those two examples also. Just a thought. And if you can not let the emotions charge the thought and then take control, you can just let it go. Allow. I kind of see it as like moving through, I don't know, curtains or something. You just have all these thoughts. They come and they go. They come and they go. Yeah. So I hope this
Yeah.
was helpful. When I think back to the question, also, I just want to say one more thing, that this we see this a lot. Like you get some traction for like a month and you get alcohol free and you love it and you feel better, and then you have a drink, and again, we just call it data point in our coaching methodology. It's just a data point to get more data, like Susan was saying, and
Hmm.
it's okay, it happens, but it's a real arrow. It's an arrow pointing right to what you need to work on or where you need to maybe dig in a little further. I would love to do another episode on this, Susan. So we're like we have so many ideas, you guys. This is going to be an
Please.
amazing podcast. Yeah, we're just getting started, but we have so many things we want to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
feel like if people listen to our podcast, that we are giving them we are giving you listeners tools that you can apply that will help strengthen your journey. And so we would love to hear from you what tools like are standing out for you, what things you've tried. We'd love for you to join our Facebook group so that we can share more, and what you're sharing helps another person, and we all are just helping ourselves, helping our each other, sorry, not ourselves, helping each other climb these mountains, right? And speaking of our Facebook group, today in the part of our podcast where we talk about what are we doing today to feel lit, we have somebody who put something in our Facebook group that we're going to share, one of our real listeners. So you're hearing this. This is from somebody that's in our group, and her name is Sarah, and she's given us permission to share this. And I just love this so much. So I'm going to read what she said, because I put the post out there. What do you do to feel lit? And she says, my soul is feeling lit each and every day in this journey. The peace I feel has reignited my inner spark, and I feel a deep sense of joy that was dulled out when I was drinking. My newest hobby, partner dancing, is something I've always wanted to learn, and now I actually am. Oh my gosh, I just love that so
Oh my
much.
gosh. I love it too. And I was one of Sarah's coaches. And so it's just so overwhelming and gives me such like a deep sense of gratitude and joy to know that Sarah is living an alcohol-free lifestyle and feeling lit. And we talked about this. We see this all the time with our clients. Like your life can transform, like transform in such a beautiful, amazing way by eliminating one thing, alcohol, one thing. And
Yeah.
it's not even about just eliminating the one thing. It's about discovering who you really are and maybe finding that passion that you've lost,
Yeah.
fulfilling life. I just thank you, Sarah, for giving us,
Yay,
the,
thank you.
yeah, because that's we just were talking about, this was one of our favorite quotes because, and think about it, if you go back to what I was talking about, like the bucket list, like new hobbies, she's doing something new. She's never done this
Yes.
before. And how fun. And I love dancing. So Susan, if you were to just ask me, like, what am I doing? I wanted to actually, based on Sarah's, I love dancing. In fact, just about about an hour ago, I was in the bathroom. I took my regular shower, ended with a cold shower, was feeling all jazzed. So I turned on some favorite music right in the bathroom. And right now I'd love to like do different, it's that, Irish music when I went to Ireland. So it was like this Irish jig, and I'm jigging along. If you can watch the video on YouTube of our podcast, I'm
Mhm.
like dancing. And then I just love dance. I used to take dance classes all through my life and even in college. And now what I do, this is kind of maybe something that might be more Sebastopol. So Sebastopol's kind of this hippy dippy, can be known as like that kind of a community. And we have like, I was talking to Susan, I'm like, we have like 4 different ecstatic dance a week. Like it's a thing. So ecstatic dance is where you go into a room, there's no drinking, it's always sober. That's another reason why I love it. So there's no, it's just, you go and it's usually darkened room, not dark, but like lights are low, and there's a DJ, and the DJ plays whatever they're going to play, but super cool music. And you don't touch people really. Everybody just dances, and you get into your own space. And at first it felt kind of nervous. I had to like play big, step outside of my comfort zone. And it felt awkward, like dancing by myself, but with all these people. But it's this sense of community and freedom and body movement. It's really fun. So,
Oh,
yeah.
fun,
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
Ecstatic dance. Give it a try.
I don't I don't feel like I'm a good dancer. And that was one of the things, like when I did musical theater, I was a good actress and a good singer, but I felt like I was not a great dancer. So I wasn't a triple threat. And I feel like that kind of held me back sometimes because I'm just kind of an awkward dancer. I'm a little stiff, but I did try ecstatic dancing once on a retreat, the sober retreat I went to in Spain, and but we were blindfolded. We all had blindfolds,
Oh,
so we couldn't see each other. So you didn't have that comparison of like, do I look like a weirdo or whatever? And then they played all these different kinds of music, and you were supposed to just sort of move your body based on how it wants
yeah.
to move with that music. I found that pretty
Exactly.
helpful. I kind of got out there. I did. I'm sure it didn't look good,
How did you
but I
guys
didn't
not bump
care.
How did you guys not bump into each other?
Um, well, I mean, you could still have your peripheral vision a little bit with a blindfold. And it wasn't that many people in the group, but yeah, you can actually, it's interesting. You can feel it when you move into somebody else's space. So, and
Yeah.
we kind of had our little like sections of the room that we were in, and there was enough space to not bump into each other. But yeah, being blindfolded was helpful for me.
Yeah, it's not about comparison. It's just how does your body
Yeah.
want to move to the music? And
Yeah.
some ecstatic dance, it's almost like a class, like start with slow and then build up to where you're just like, like rocking out. And some are more mellow. It's about the DJ. It's so cool. The DJs, or they might
Yeah.
mix different fun old time music to new music. It's super cool.
I'm going to try that.
Give it
I'll
a
come
try.
visit you.
Okay, come visit me and we'll do an
Oh,
ecstatic dance.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's time to say goodbye. This is actually probably one of our longer episodes, but we had so much to share, and we would love to hear from you. We'd love for you to join our Feel Lit Facebook community and let us know what helps you feel lit, and we would love to feature you on one of our future episodes. So I hope you can jump over there and grab some of our free resources. And join our community because I think we're having a really good time. Well, at least I
Yeah,
am.
I am
So,
too.
yay. So,
Okay.
see you next time. Bye.
Bye. Thanks so much for listening to Feel Lit Alcohol Free Podcast. Do you have a question you'd like us to answer on the show?
All you need to do is head over to Apple Podcasts and do two simple things. Leave a rating and review telling us what you think of the show. And in that review, ask us any questions you have about breaking free from wine or living an alcohol-free lifestyle.
That's it. Then tune in to hear your question answered live. Don't forget to grab your copy of A Wine-Free Weekend at www.feelitpodcasts.com.
And remember, do something today that will help you feel lit.
See you next time.